everyone. ¿Cómo estás? Okay, we're live. I'm going to get my microphones set up. And you can hear me better with the microphones. Got it backwards. Still backwards. A lot of backwards. All right. How's the audio? If I got anybody in here who wants to check my audios. Who wants to check my audios? Sounds pretty good on my end. Who wants to check my audios? Sounds pretty good on my end. All right, turn that off. Oh, we got one watching. Welcome to the chat. Mike. How are you, sir? I just bought the right drive shafts for the Revo earlier this evening. And that's good. They're from Hot Racing. I was looking at some of the other ones and like the cheap Amazon ones. They're just not... There's a lot of bad reviews. Maybe not a lot. There's some really good bad reviews with pictures and stuff. And they're like, don't buy this. It's garbage. Okay. Seltzer tonight. Best RC discipline. Drop it in the chat. Go. We'll start there. Excuse me. I don't even know what I'm going to work on tonight. Yeah, go grab a soda, Mike. You need one. We got to drink sodas together. Or whatever it is you're drinking. I don't judge. $160. Oh, the battery's dying on my calipers. It's not showing up very good. Yeah, it goes up to 153. Let me just look at the Revo for a second. Let's see what we've got here for a length on how long I want this. Say it goes up to 160 millimeters. And that looks about right, because this goes to 153. And I'm just shy 7 millimeters, I suppose. David, welcome to the chat. Longtime friend David is. He's a friend in real life. He's not just a YouTube friend. Thank you for giving me the it's good on the audio. Because sometimes you just don't know till you know. You know? So, I have... Well, actually, welcome to the studio, David. I don't know if you've seen this before. Maybe I have shown you this. But this is my studio. The arm on my chair over here, it wobbles, and every time I go to put my arm on it, I'm like, that shouldn't do that. But it does. For watching. You know, the last couple streams I've had are like... I think maximum has been 4 people ever. So we're a few minutes in, and we've already got 4 watching. So One of those is me, because I'm watching over here. That way I can see your comments. I can't really see them there. But, yeah. Is that a Phillips head? I don't think I have a Phillips head. Best RC discipline. Keep batteries safe and charged and make everything serviceable. I was actually talking about like crawling or bashing, but that is gold, sir. Yes, keep your batteries safe. Nobody needs to burn down a house over charging batteries for a hobby. That's the worst. I mean, it's one thing to burn down a house because you're trying to keep warm and like the stove got out of hand or something, but it is entirely a different story to be like, I'm going to go have fun and you burn the house down. David has seen my studio a couple of times. Thank you for the reminder. My memory is not what it used to be. Actually, no, it's probably better than it used to be now that I think about it. So that original statement is actually true. It's not what it used to be. Full send everything, as M says. You know, that's a discipline. When I hand the controller to my wife, I turn it down, and then I'm like, here you go. She's like, why isn't mine as fast as yours? I don't know. Maybe you're just not good at driving them. Oh, that's funny. Something that I've found is interesting is this chassis. And I'll tell you why. That chassis goes to this body. It is the Camel Trophy by FMS. It's the FCX24M. You can close your ears, Mike. You don't need to hear this. It's the best chassis to build little crawlers on. It's absolutely fantastic because it's got a 2-speed transmission. It's got a ring and pinion diff, so it's not a worm gear drive like the SCX24s. And it just works. This is probably the most underrated vehicle in the small scale. Mike's covering his ears. La 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 la. I'm not listening to you. For those of you who don't know, Mike is into the big stuff. He doesn't like working on small stuff, which is great. You should do what you like to do. It's like me. I don't work on boats. You can't see it. There's a boat right here that my friend Robbie gave me. You still can't see it. There's a boat. I don't know why I brought up boats. I guess I was trying to think of an RC discipline that I'm not really into. Speed racing. Speed runs. I don't do speed runs. I take my UDR down the street and I pull the trigger and I go, how fast did that go? That was pretty quick. But I don't like build a car for speed runs. Yeah. It's a hobby. You're supposed to do what you love. Now, when it comes to 10th scale rigs, buying a complete thing and like changing it doesn't seem like it's as cost effective. So the way Mike does it is probably the best way to do it. And that's just like, well, what are the bits and pieces that you want this to have? Do you want it to have 2 axles, 3 axles, 4 axles, a rotator? Whereas this is like, sure, if you want a custom build, don't go buy this. But if you want a custom body, you can get this and then just get some different links. You might need a different drive shaft, but it would be like fully adjustable and you can just do it. Because if your goal is this look, not necessarily what's going on under here, that's the thing. So I brought that out to show you guys because I do want to get some more bodies from these guys, which is Revel, and just put them on this chassis. Not like get more of these chassis, this exact chassis, and then I just pop this off when I'm tired of the red one, put a blue one on it, or put a different thing. As long as it's the same wheelbase, I'm good to go. So that's fun. I brought some Pop-Tarts out with me. They're like organic from Trader Joe's. My wife likes to shop there. So I think I showed this last week. I put lights in here. I still have yet to run it with the lights in it because I had to cut out, not because I had to cut these things out, but along with that, I did have to cut out the, they had a sticker on the lens, but the lens wasn't clear anyway. So I'm going to do something. Maybe I'll like cut up a water bottle or a soda bottle, some clear plastic like that, and stick it in there so there's a lens. But the back has lenses, which is cool. If I hide my face, it'll focus on it. And there's wires going to there. I do want to put some sort of light bar across the front. And maybe something across the bumper too. That's going to be cool. Yes, sir. A spoiler alert. I have another set of batteries to review. I got 2 of these. These are going to be great flight batteries, but I'm going to do a car test with them. It's a 3S battery, and I'm going to put 2 of these in the UDR because I can. It runs 6S, and it'll actually be a really good test to see how much these can supply because they are... What's the C rating on this? Maybe it doesn't say. Nope, that's a warning. 80C. So for 2.4 amp hours, that's times 80. So this should be able to supply 160 volts. I'm going to look up what ESC the UDR has in it. What flavor of what, David? My seltzer? This one is lime. If you're talking about seltzer. If you're talking about ice cream, I prefer vanilla. French vanilla, actually. Fun fact. All right, UDR. We're going to find out. And then I will know how many amps that ESC can handle. And then I will know what, if those batteries are keeping up with it, or it's supposed to be able to keep up with it. They're not saying on the website, at least for that version. So we're going to go look at a different version. It's 4S, 2S, forward only. Interesting. I'm not seeing anything. We're just going to ChatGPT it, right? I feel like ChatGPT is going to be the tissues of the AI world. Instead of people saying, ask AI, they're going to be like, ask ChatGPT, whether they're using Grok or whoever else. How many amps can it handle? Max voltage is 25.2. 100 to 150 amps. So, is about what they're saying. Let's just see if there's anyone else that says anything. Reddit. Reddit is like the old version of AI. And by that, I mean it's like a corded phone versus a cordless phone. All right, that information is not listed anywhere by Traxxas to my knowledge. I guess 150 amps continuous. No idea on burst, which means it can draw 150 amps through it continuously. Generally, they can handle more amperage at any given moment. And I'm wondering if this ADC rating is a burst rating or if it's a continuous rating. So if it's a continuous rating, this isn't really going to hold up. But this is supposed to be their high-end battery. So this is going to be interesting. This actually is from Hobby King. And if you use the discount code, let me tell you what it is. I think it's MSBHK. They emailed it to me, and I will put it in the link when I do the video. No, I don't have the email linked to my iPad right now. So, Hobby King. Go to Hobby King. These are Turnigy. No, yes, these are Turnigy batteries. This is what it looks like. That's that one. I do have something that's probably more your speed. This is a 5,000. They have some even bigger ones. They've got like an 8,000 3S or something that they wanted to send me. And I'm like, I don't have a car that'll fit. Don't send me that one. I'll put this in planes though after I run it with them. This one, this was actually really inexpensive. It's a 3S battery, 5,000 milliamp hour. What's this, like 15 bucks or something? It might even be less than that. They're not very expensive. This is a higher end version, so it's a high amp draw. I think I've said that 14 times already. Sorry. I'm excited. This is the drive shaft out of the Revo, and it's got a spline here. I don't know how many splines that is. It's probably like 15 or 18 or something. But this will not slide in and out anymore because I'm pretty sure this has rotated inside the housing and has really just, it's stuck. This won't move. I've tried. Now, this is the rear drive shaft, so technically I could put this back in the Revo because the front drive shaft fits. And I could drive it. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll do that for this video. I'll test those batteries in the UDR and the Revo because the Revo will really draw out of that thing. The UDR is geared down a lot more. Mike, did I show you this on the last stream? I don't know if I did. This is yes, the drive shaft is plastic. I bought this piece because the hex on the end of this one wore out, so I cut it off, welded them together, and so now I've got an extra double long tool. I think I might heat treat it though, heat treat that joint, because I'm pretty sure the rest of these are hardened, and by welding them I have now softened it, and I would really like for it to not break. So we put it in the lathe, my friend's lathe, and so they were like, they should be super straight. They seem straight when I put them in my little doodad. Ugga Dugga, if you watch Kevin Talbot. Highly approved. I was looking at some like crawler drive shafts, and I don't think that the end here would be big enough on a crawler drive shaft to fit the Revo, because everything is just a little bit bigger and beefier on that. So Man, I just have not done much in the world of RC. Some people have gotten me back into snowboarding somewhat regularly, which I need to take David snowboarding if he wants to. I know I've mentioned it to him, but I don't remember if he's actually said, yes, I definitely want to do that. But these are the wheels I've been working on. They are a bead lock and they work, but this is a 1.55 tire. I need to get them done in a 1.9, and then I can send the files over to Mike. The offset is also huge, so this doesn't even fit on any axles because the hole in here is too shallow and too small to fit a 10th scale vehicle. But other than that, I think they're great. So I just have to change the offset a little bit, and then I'll have a good 1.55, and then I also need to blow it up to a 1.9. Oh, 1/6 scale drive shafts. I have not. I'm going to look at a 1/6 scale drive shaft. I'm going to get this stream set up here eventually so that I can share my screen with you guys and show you what I'm looking at as we explore fun things. Because, yeah, if a 1/6 drive shaft fit, but it was too long, I can just cut it and it will still work. Yeah, this is a 157 to 200 millimeter drive shaft. That would totally work. I wouldn't even have to cut it, as long as it fit the pinion gear. But I've already got the other one on the way. I will keep this in mind, though, for future projects. I will tell you one project I have in my mind that I would like to do, but I don't know if I ever will, is an SCX6 with UDR front suspension, pre-runner style. All right, David, settled. We're going to go snowboarding sometime. What size are your feet? I might have boots that'll fit you. But you know how you build a pre-runner on a crawler chassis? I so want to do that with an SCX6. The problem is, by the time I'm done, will I have a UDR with an SCX6 body on it? Your feet are a size 9. Mine are a 9.5, and most of my boots are 10s, but I have 4 or 5 pairs of snowboard boots. So I'm sure some of my boots are a little bit snugger than others. Yeah, we're going to make that happen. I'm working all week. Isaiah might try to talk me into snowboarding here in Waterville on Saturday. Quarry Road Trails. Maybe we could do that. Here I am on a live stream making plans to go snowboarding. I love this. You just do whatever you want. So great. I'm going to have a Pop-Tart. Because I can. This one is cherry. Brown sugar Pop-Tarts, the best. What else are we doing here? Oh, Mike, do you watch any off-road recovery vehicles? Oh, David, you might have to work on Saturday. You often do that. Even if you have to work, we'll find a day. We're going to do stuff. Off-road recovery, is that like surfing? Oh, no, you mean is snowboarding like surfing? There are similarities, but snowboarding is the only sport that I know of where the board actually is designed to twist. Surfboards don't do that. Skateboards don't do that. Longboards don't do that. Skimboards, wakeboards, none of them twist. You don't work on Saturday? We might have something going on here. Okay, Murphy's Diesel. Do you watch Murphy's Diesel? You grew up snowboarding. Dude, that's awesome. Where's your favorite place to snowboard that you have been to? That's right. You spent some time in Colorado, didn't you? So Murphy's Diesel is awesome. You need to watch his channel. We're having like 3 different conversations right now. He took a Ram 5500 wrecker and turned it into a 4-wheel steer off-road wrecker with 58-inch tires. That's what this is going to become. Oh yeah, those are all my batteries. Because I emptied a bunch of my radios the other day. I was like, I need a place for those. They just went in the truck. So I am going to build, and this might be my next like legit build because I've been playing around with stuff a lot recently, and I might have to do it. It's going to be a lot of design. So it might be a very long build, and I might do other things in between. But I really, really do want to build an 18th scale version of his off-road wrecker. Salt Lake City. I've never been. I would love to go to Salt Lake City. I spent a little time in Colorado. Copper Mountain, Breckenridge, Steamboat Springs. There's a couple other small mountains there. Loveland Pass, I think, is one of them. All the riding out there is absolutely phenomenal. Back east, it's anything in New England. You got Jay Peak, you've got Sugar Bush, you've got Sugarloaf, you've got Sunday River, Loon, Killington, Okemo, Stratton. I think I said Jay Peak already. What's the one in Rangeley? Rangeley, Maine. Saddleback Mountain. I've worked at many of them too, because that's way cheaper to work there and to ski than to not work there and try and ski. But, oh man, snowboarding is awesome. It's so good that one of my guys I ride with, Isaiah, mentioned him a minute ago, he went out and just bought a snowboard after, what did we have? 7.5 hours on snow. No, it's not a cookie, it's a Pop-Tart. It's a cherry Pop-Tart. An organic cherry Pop-Tart. I just realized that sounds not very delightful. Organic and cherry. RC Crawling Addict. I do go to Black Mountain. Actually, Black Mountain is the last mountain I went to because they do free ski nights like every other Wednesday. And so I've been taking some friends there. Full Sandam, welcome in. I've been taking some friends to go learn how to snowboard because it's fun. But there's a teeny tiny little hill in my town that has a rope tow. And if you, it's like $10 if you live in the town, but it's $20 if you live outside of the town. And you can ride that. It's a great little spot, especially if you're new at it, because you don't need a lot of hill. Fun fact, I have a scar on my nose, which I got at Black Mountain, but not snowboarding. I was snowmobiling. I was racing snowcross, and one of the guys who I was there with, I wasn't on the team because I didn't do it very much, but he and another guy were part of a team, and they helped me out, give me a staging area, like carted my sled over there and stuff. He was like, man, you can double this whoop section. You just double it twice and blast right through it. My first time around the track, I was like, I'm going to double that. Shouldn't have. I basically, 2 rollers, I came over the first one and drilled my sled straight into the second one. Over the handlebars, I broke the windshield with my face. It's plastic, but still broke it with my face. And my nose took the brunt of it. So I hop back on my sled, fire it back up, make sure like the skis are still attached and stuff, and take off. And all the flaggers are staring at me. They look so confused, and I cannot figure out why. I figured I had something hanging off my sled. They were going to black flag me, like get off the course. You're not safe. But nope, they're just looking confused. And so I get back to the trailer, and they're like, man, that was crazy. Are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I pull my helmet off, and there's just blood pouring out of my face. That's why they were confused, because there's a blood just like leaking out of my helmet, and I'm just racing around like nothing's going on. Like, what is happening? I had no idea that I'd split my nose open. The nose knows. You're not wrong. So it's fun to go back to that mountain and snowboard and be like, yep, right there. I left a lot of blood on the hill. My mom told me not to chew with my mouth full. No, she didn't. Why would anybody say that? That's the only way you can chew, is with a full mouth. I probably missed my calling. I should have been a comedian, because I am hilarious. Should I just put this drive shaft back in while I'm sitting here? Because I don't know if I'm going to have time to like actually sit down and replace, put the new drive shafts when they come in. What day do they come in? Wednesday? Thursday? I really should record that video before that. Wednesday or Thursday, I might go hang out with my friend Rick, who helped me build these. Did I show you this RC Crawler Addict? This is pretty cool. I bought new hex drivers and welded them onto an old hex driver with a 1/4-inch drive because I wanted an extra long one. But these are designed to just go in a handle with a set screw. So if you look at that, it's Waffles RC approved. You know what? I think I'm going to put that plastic drive shaft back in. Because why not? Okay. That's all good. RC Crawler Addict used to weld welding rods together to make them longer. You get those hard to reach places. That's a fantastic idea. When I first started stick welding, there was one of my dad's friends who gave me like a lot of the basics. And he's like, so what are you going to do if you have to like weld around the corner? And I was like, man, I don't know. And he takes a welding rod and just like bends it into a U and goes, you do that. I'm like, that's a great idea. All right, let's get the camera on what I'm doing now instead of my ugly mug. What am I doing? I'm trying to get this thing on here. Another tip, as you put, oh, there's a lot of light there. You put a magnet on your tool and it holds your screw onto the tool. That's not another tip. That is the only tip that I've given so far. So let's just all recognize that Gabe's not given a lot of tips this evening. He's just given the one. Yes, welding is a dirty job. I never did it for a living. It was a hobby, but I also grew up on a farm. And so I was like the emergency farm mechanic. My dad had another guy who would do a lot of serious stuff for him, but I did all the little things that just needed to happen. You have a mini lathe, Mike? He says he did that with his 12-inch drive shaft on the mini lathe for his semi. You know, I probably wouldn't have thought to weld two drive shafts together. I probably would have put a bearing carrier in there and run two drive shafts instead of one long one like that. Ah, shoot. The reason I didn't put this back in is because it doesn't slide. And in order for me to get it back in, I need it to slide because the things are... And I'm afraid if I try and break it free, I'm going to break it. And then it won't even do what I want it to do. Okay, so which way would this have gotten it stuck? If we're spinning that way, it's spinning this... Oh, now I don't know which way it was on there. Wait, maybe I do. Yes, it would have been on that way. Okay, so if it's on that way, it's going this way. I think I need to loosen it that way. Oh, wow. Waffles. No, I cut and welded it to make it longer. Yeah, you didn't just weld two ends together. You probably cut it like here, and then you cut the other one there, and then whoosh, welded them together that way. Probably still maintain some of this slack. Don't have a lathe, so it looks terrible. Yeah, semis don't go very fast. And it's on the bottom. Who cares? You make the outside pretty, not the inside. Now, where is the next size? Exactly. RC Crawling Addict. My dad started to teach me started teaching me to weld around 10 years old. Dude, that's awesome. You got to be like so good at that. A lot of people say TIG welding is very difficult, and I'm not going to say it's easy, but I am going to say I could probably get good at it because my friend who helped me do this let me try his TIG welder and put it on. I was like, I love TIG welding. Like the whole pedal and the electrode and the feeder, like there's a lot happening, but I knew I was going to love it, and I really do love it. Well, RC Crawling Addict, I may have to disagree with you. I have tried to teach people how to snowboard that should not snowboard. They should just like pick up bowling or something. Like these unathletic kids from Texas when I worked in Colorado. Colorado just got a huge influx from Texas all the time. And, you know, I should call my stream Story Time with Gabe or something. But you get these kids who are, I call them unathletic. They would play football. But you know the kind of kids that play football. And they're just like, yeah, I want to learn to snowboard. I'm like, no, you're going to fall down and hurt the mountain. You can't, you can weld, but you can't solder. No way. No way, Mike. You can solder. I feel like soldering is way easier than welding. These screws are not holding on to this magnet very well. Maybe it's not stainless because otherwise the magnet wouldn't stick to it. I don't know what's going on, guys. I actually don't know what's happening. I know that I do have a screw inside my transmission, though. It's out. Caught it between my legs because if you've ever worked on anything at a bench, you'll end up with screws just falling down. Okay. If I get that on there. Yeah, this will be good because at least I can make the video and then I'll have the new drive shafts for when this one finally fails. I don't know why they built a funnel into the transmission. Mike, if I could use the welder on my wires, I would. You know, challenge accepted. Yes, I completely agree. With soldering, use flux first and foremost. It doesn't matter if you have flux core solder or not. Just put flux on your joints first. And then get a really hot soldering iron with a clean tip. If it's not clean, get some steel wool, heat it up, and just like push it in and out of the steel wool, and the steel wool will actually grab all of the garbage off your tip. Is this the right one? I think this is the right one. Just aim the weld spatter towards your wires. Yep, go for it. I mean, you could solder with a torch too. You just get a little propane jobby and melt it on that way. Although if you're trying to do a connector, like if it's not just two wires, you're trying to do it into a connector, you will destroy that connector if you've got a torch on it. Okay, you'll sound dumb, but you need to learn. What is flux and what does it do? Great question. RC Crawler Addict, do you want to field this one? It makes the solder stick. That it does. It actually cleans the joint from contaminants because oxidation, which you'd be very familiar with in steel, a lot of other metals, when they oxidize, they build up a layer on the metal and then they stop oxidizing. It actually protects the metal. Aluminum is very difficult to weld because of that. And you have to clean that off. Any kind of tarnish, any kind of debris, contaminants like oil stuff. And by putting the flux on there, when you hit it with heat, it basically burns all that stuff away and gives the metal the ability to absorb the solder into its pores. Did I do a good job explaining that? So do you put it on the wire or the piece the wire is going to? Soldering paste, actually called soldering paste. I put it on both. Anywhere I want the solder to flow into. So if I've got a connector, I will put solder or I'll put flux on that connector and then I'll put flux on the wire and I'll get the third hand or whatever they call it, clamp it in there, put the connection together, and then I get the soldering iron and my solder and I heat up the wires and I feed the solder into it. Yes, wire into the paste. Bloop. Oh, you want a soldering tutorial? I'll do one right now. Well, as soon as I get this drive shaft in here. We can do that. I don't know if I can get this drive shaft in here with the other drive shaft already in place. Oh, there we go. I think we can. Yeah, I don't consider myself an expert with soldering, but I do make good joints that don't fail. So I'm not terrible at it. Brazing. So brazing, I'm not good at brazing. I haven't done it a lot either, but brazing is, correct me if I'm wrong, RC Crawling Addict, it's like soldering, but at higher temperatures with harder metals. Did I do this right? Maybe I'm doing this wrong. Yes, please. I'm not being weird either. Yeah, so the same friend who taught me how to weld gave a very short, brief lesson on brazing. And brazing, you need a special filler rod for, but it works, from what I understand, like soldering, where you heat the metals very, very hot. And I think we were doing it with an acetylene torch. And then the brass or bronze filler rod fills in and actually will hold it together. Like, it's something you would have to do with cast iron. It's difficult to weld cast iron and have it work well, because from what I understand, cast iron, as soon as you start welding it, you change the crystalline structure, but then because you're melting it, but right next to where it didn't melt is where it becomes weak, and that's usually where your joint will fail. It won't fail in the weld, from what I understand. Ow! I basically had to flex the whole chassis to get that in there because the drive shaft won't slide back and forth. Almost pinched myself too. That's why the ow. Guys, I'm so stoked. The Revo lives-ish. Mostly lives. I keep putting it on the floor because, like, didn't have the drive shafts, and so I was working on it, put it on the floor, and just rolls right into its spot without any resistance because it didn't have a drive shaft in it. Now it's got a drive shaft, lots of resistance. Oh, man. I also replaced the spur gear on it. Do I have the plastic one here? Yes. Dudes, this is unbelievable that they put a plastic spur gear in a 6S truck. Look at the teeth. Even the teeth that are there are only half there. Maybe you see it better this way. Yeah, there's like a flange on this side, your left side, because it wasn't full engagement, and the pinion just like ate those things right out. And it actually took, how many of those off? I don't know, it looks like a dozen of them are missing. Cast has to be preheated, welded with a NiCad rod, and cooled very slowly. Fascinating. I was under the impression you couldn't weld cast. And I don't know that my dad's friend, because he was like a machinist, like he knew a lot. I don't know that he told me that. I think that's just something I probably made up. But you can weld cast. Preheated. That does make sense. Now, why won't this thread in here? What am I looking at? What is happening? Why are you not lining up? Maybe it's probably because my drive shaft doesn't move. This probably is more trouble than it's worth. Maybe I'll just go do a soldering tutorial. I'm probably better at that. Oh, I got one to thread. Yes. That means the rest of them should line up better now. Oh, is it off left and right? Yes. It was off left and right, not forward and backwards, so it was not the drive shaft's fault. It was the... what do they call the 200-pound gorilla on the other end? You guys ever watched AVE? His channel. Sorry, my thing just fell off the tripod. I'm trying to adjust it. He's has nothing to do with RC, but he is hilarious. Not child friendly, but wow. You used to weld trusses and cast axle housings. Oh, like trusses on the cast axle housings. I see. I thought you were like a bridge welder. A standard MIG welder, but I did preheat it and covered it with a welding blanket after to cool it slowly. Makes sense. Because cast is very brittle. It's hard, but not flexible. All right. It's a good thing I got good Wi-Fi in the garage. We're going to go down to my soldering. Do not judge the condition of my garage. It's under construction. I'm actually turning this space right here into bedrooms. And I moved the stairs a couple weeks ago. They used to come up. You can see where the stairs were, actually. But they used to come up here. And now they turn because that's better. And they're a lot wider. All right. Here we go. Thanks, Mike. He's like, everybody's seen my garage. No judgment here. All right, what do I have that I can solder for you? First, I need my tripod to not fall over. Okay. That's what we've got. So this soldering station is fantastic. I can set my temperature to whatever I want. I always run it all the way hot because it works better that way. A hot joint works better because it melts the solder faster but doesn't push a lot of heat into the wires and everything. The more time you spend on a joint, the hotter everything gets. Nobody likes that. All right, so I've got some of these XT60 connectors that I'm going to use. So this is a brand new connector. It's helpful to have a brand new connector because it won't be as dirty. If you have to reuse one, you end up running into some issues sometimes because the old solder in there can get crummy. Now I need to make sure that you can see what I see, or I can see what you see. My tripod is kind of creating some issues. There we go. I have this little monitor that magnetizes to the back of my phone so I can use my forward camera but still have a monitor facing me. That's how I talk to you guys. So I'm using this to see what you're seeing over here. And I want to make sure things are in focus for you. And if I can get rid of some of this crap in the background, it'll be less confusing to look at. Okay, this is my solder. My iron is hot. I also have a sponge here with that I wet with some water, but this is also getting pretty dirty, and I need to get a new one of those. Now, inside, you don't need all of this crap to solder, but it's helpful. Inside here is that silicone. This is brass wool, and I use that to clean my soldering iron. I'll just leave the cap off of that. So you can see my tip looks kind of crummy, right? It's hot right now, so I don't want to burn myself. But that's kind of crummy. If I go and just poke it in here, see now oh, it looks clean. It's shiny because it's been tinned. There's actually, I don't think it's solder, but they put a version of tin on the tip, and it actually makes the solder flow better. This is not what I suggest using for flux. This is plumber's flux. It's highly acidic and can cause problems on your joints down the road, but it's what I have, so it's what I use. I haven't had problems yet. I would get electronics flux instead of plumber's flux. This is just a connector off a motor. This one actually already has solder on it, but if it didn't, what I would do is put that in the third hand, make sure my tip is clean, and then we're going to, I would already have solder on this, and you can see all the poked holes where I poke my wire into there. And then I heat the wire first a little bit, and then I stick the solder in between the soldering iron and the wire, because the soldering iron will make the solder hot, and then as it flows into the wire, it makes a better connection with the wire because now it's flowing into it. And then you can just put the solder on the wire and it will hold. Now, just going to grab a little thing to grab some solder or some flux. I'm going to flux these two joints. And RC Crawler Addict, you can give any input that you would like to assist in telling me whether this can be done better or not. This does have a positive and negative on it. You probably can't see it. I can barely see it, and I'm looking at it with my naked eyes. Then I'm going to put these two together. I'm going to sit them in there just like so. So this wire is now sitting in that cutout of that joint. And what I'm going to do is heat both of these, and the solder is going to start to boil. And then I'm just going to feed solder into it until it fills all of the gaps inside of that joint. And I'm done. Now, if I was going to solder two wires together, that's pretty warm. But because I went so fast, it's not hot all the way out here. It's only hot like probably to there. I can't really hold it there, but I could hold it here. All right, two wires. I'll use black wires so that they're the same. These two already have solder on them, but we're going to ditch that solder so that you can see the whole process. And I can, instead of just saying, well, I would put flux on this and then I would tin it, I will just actually flux and tin it. Yes, absolutely. I was thought about that as I was doing it, RC Crawler Addict, but you put this is the female, which goes on your battery. You put the male plug into this, and then you set it in the third hand and do your thing, because the heat will melt the plastic, and then your connector kind of just moves a little bit, and they just do not plug in well. The best thing to do is to plug your other connector in first. So I would already have, oh, I forgot to tin that. Just poke it in there. Not tin it, flux it. I'm going to be tinning it in a second. I would already have heat shrink tubing on one of these because most likely they'd be connected to something already, a battery or whatever. And you almost can't put too much flux on there. It'll just take it a little longer to burn off. If you don't put enough on, it doesn't thoroughly clean the wire, and then you run into issues. But best thing to do is to get something like this that will hold your wires together for you, and you don't have to do that because it's practically impossible. This is what got me soldering. Not got me soldering, but really hurt me early on, is I would try to hold those and the solder and the soldering iron, and you just can't. Things get too hot. So I'm going to put this on here, heat it a little bit, and then I'm going to let the solder flow into it between the iron and the wire, and then I can just put it on the wire and it'll start melting in. And that's it. I did put a little too much on the top side, I think. Actually, no. That's a thick wire on top. I'll do this so you can see that better. This wire is a much thicker gauge. This is 14. And does this say on it? This one does not say what it is, but it's smaller. It's probably 20. Wait, nope, says it right there, 16. So we got a 14 gauge and a 16 gauge wire. I probably would flow more solder across that joint, but there's nothing wrong with that. That'll hold. I would run, I don't know, 100 amps through that if I needed to. Is that dangerous? If anybody thinks that's dangerous, let me know. But I wouldn't be concerned. I probably would get a thicker wire than the 16 gauge if I was running like a 6S truck or something. And then you just slide your heat shrink over it, heat shrink it. All right, now let me look at the comments because I wasn't able to see any comments while we were doing that. Where's the chat? There we go. Looks good so far. Thank you. I have the number 5 paste. Yours is 95. This is lead-free tinning flux. Yeah, I know this is specifically for plumbing. Crawling is the best. Thank you, R3ZZCX7. Razix? The third hand is a must. I mean, it doesn't actually even have to be a third hand. It could be a couple of vice grips set up in a vise, and you can like, something to hold. Just something to hold your wires. Now you know what you've been doing wrong. I've never fluxed. So it is possible if you have flux core wire, but the joints need to be not dirty. Like if you cut fresh wires and you are soldering brand new exposed copper or whatever these wires are, they're not gold colored, so they're like some sort of zinc or aluminum. You can get away with just the flux core, but if you've been having a lot of trouble, just get some flux and it should really just make that go away. I can shut that off. Cool thing about this soldering station too, if you want a really good soldering station, this one is great. It's like 80 bucks is what I paid for it, but that was a couple years ago, so it might be closer to 100 now. I just got it on Amazon, and I liked it because it did come with third hands, but they're not as good as that one I was using, because the one I was using has like pivot balls that you can tighten up, and the other one that are built into the side of the soldering station are they're like the flexi arms, and they just don't stay very well. But yeah, that was actually fun sharing that with you. Definitely plug a connector in though. It'll save you a lot of heartache later on, because you get the thing all soldered up and then be like, doesn't fit, and you finally get it in there and then you gotta pull it apart and it just won't come apart. Oh man, I don't know how many times I did that. But it has been... Ooh, RC Crawler Addict. Always plug another end. Yes. So nothing melts and moves. Yes, I did read that comment. I just saw some words in there that I hadn't seen before. Small items can be wrapped in fiberglass insulation to cool. Ooh. You're welcome very much, Mike. I'm glad you enjoyed that. I got to make a plan for some of these builds, and then I got to execute the plan, because I haven't been very good at that. I left my tripod downstairs, so I'm holding my phone now. Do any of you guys run into this problem? All the radios? I have so many radios. But every time you buy an RTR, I get a lot of RTRs. Comes with a radio. I am going to get the Radiomaster MT12, and that it's going to solve a lot of my radio problems. Those will still stay there, but I won't need to take 5 radios with me. If I want to take 5 cars out, I can just take 1 radio. So that'll be cool. Binds to anything. Well, I'm going to take off. So you guys have a good night. Thanks for watching. What's an RTR? I'm sure there's a tutorial you can find on YouTube about RTRs. There's lots of guys who do lots of things. Bye, David. Thanks for hanging out, dude. And maybe we can do some snowboarding soon. Yep. Anyway, I'm going to go hang out with my wife and then go to bed. Laters.